Let me call the meeting to order. So I would like to call the meeting of the Board of Education for Groton Board of Education to order. Today is Monday, May 9th, and it's 6 o'clock. For those people who are joining us, I am so excited about you being here, but just to let you know that our public portion or speaking portion of the board meetings is going to be, our next time is going to be May 23rd. And that is a time where we welcome public comment for that. So just to make sure that people are clear about that. The first order of business that I have is approval of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole of April 11th, 2022. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Liz, can I have a second?
Aye.
That would be Matthew.
I would like to make an amendment.
Okay, and so now discussion.
When it's convenient.
We are now, it is now convenient.
Thank you. Regarding item number 3, the mentoring program, the narrative was wonderful, comprehensive and wonderful. There was no outcome indicated. And so I would like to move that the additional sentence, the following additional sentence be added. Quote, the board asked numerous questions about re-energizing the mentoring program and reached informal consensus on the wisdom of moving forward, end quote. My rationale.
I'll second that.
That was Jay? Okay. Any question or comment? Dean?
Yeah, that the minutes are to reflect what happened in a general fashion. That seems to be my recollection as well. So I'm in favor of the amendment.
Okay. Matthew, would you be willing, if this goes through, would you be willing to make sure that Joan gets a copy of it so she can add it to the amended minutes?
Certainly, if I put that in the chat, would that be helpful?
No, actually, if you just send it to her, that probably would be better, because then she can pay attention to the rest of the board meeting versus trying to copy it from the chat.
If Joan or somebody could send me her address later, I'll be glad to do it.
Okay, you can just send it to me and I can send it to both.
It's a deal.
All right,
Thank you, Matthew.
Liz?
Matthew, would you just read it to me again, please, or read it to us again, please?
Of course. The board asked numerous questions about re-energizing the mentoring program and reached informal consensus on the wisdom of moving forward.
Thank you.
This, of course, leaves the implementation completely up to the superintendent.
And there were some suggested next steps by the mentor coordinator as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to hash it over. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, so Dean, I've sort of made you my honorary Robert's rules. I know, aren't you lucky? So do I go to the amendment? But there's no amendment.
We vote on the amendment first, and we vote on the motion as amended.
But I don't know, is there amendment on the floor?
Well, that would be,
What
that's exactly what Matt described.
Okay.
I think Matt moved an amendment without using those words exactly. I remember Jay seconding that.
Okay. And we had discussion.
So,
Okay. All
right.
right. So I'm going to move from the amendment first. So all those in favor of the amendment that was offered to us by Matthew Schulman, please say aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? That motion has carried. Now, I don't need to go any further, right?
Well, you theoretically could have discussion on the motion as amended. You should at least offer that.
Is there any, what Dean said?
Discussion.
Is there any discussion about the motion, the amended motion?
No, but I appreciate Matthew adding that to our minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rita Volkman, sorry, I know we're remote.
So does that have to now be revoted
No.
on?
I don't think so. I think we're done, right?
Well, we vote on the motion as amended to approve the minutes as
Right.
amended.
So that was the amendment. Now, are we, I'm so sorry, folks. I'm taking up so much time on this. I just
Yeah,
want to make
now
sure
we're
I
vo-
get it right.
Now you have to
Now we're
vote
voting on
on
approval
the
of the minutes.
motion.
Thank you, Bev.
You have to vote on the minutes as approved by the amendment, you know.
Thank you. Thank you, Beverly. I don't know why that's such a stumble block for me. I promise I'll get it done sometime. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of the committee of the whole meeting minutes of April 11th as amended, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? That motion is carried. You guys, thank you for carrying me through getting that correct. The next order of an agenda is the high school courses. We've had a couple of other town bodies come talk to us about the honors program. And then we also had some discussion or mention about that from other board members. And so I asked Susan and Phil to kind of put together some of that information. I know we have a lot of people here from all the emails that we have had. And so I am willing to see if the board is willing to add that to our agenda where the Superintendent Austin can speak to the course of study as it relates to the emails that all of us had received. I will need a 2/3 vote on that. Is there any discussion about that?
Is there a
Kim?
motion?
Yes, Beverly.
Are you talking about the marching band, the half
Yes.
credit that's been eliminated for the marching band?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I just feel like that feels like we've received a lot of communication, and so that it might be good for us to have that. Liz, discussion?
Also, are we going to be able to have any discussion about this program of studies at all? In general, because there's a couple of things in here that are problematic.
I don't feel that that's fair for us to have that conversation or program of studies on a more general level, Liz, if we haven't prepped the superintendent and the assistant superintendent to know what we're looking for. But I see that as a future topic.
Or a future topic, at least to go to the curriculum committee first. to
Yeah,
take a
that
deeper
would have been
dive in,
nice.
You know.
Yep, that agenda is going to be finalized this week, so we can definitely add that in.
That's number one. Please.
Okay.
Jay, your hand's up.
Yes, so by including the program of studies in the legal notice of this meeting, I assumed that it was open
Yeah, so did I.
to discuss without the need for a 2/3 vote. Maybe I'm wrong, Dean might, but I mean, we've attached this document, so I think we can talk about marching band and anything in the program of studies that is problematic.
That's what I thought also.
And myself.
And me.
But if we wanted to legally take the vote, just to make it,
Jay, I mean, Dean, I don't know if you're finger waving or whether,
Yeah, no, you sort of Cub Scout oath or something. I think Boy Scouts 3 fingers, right?
Yep.
So with respect to the notice, we have to start there. It's true, it does say program of studies, and the entire program of studies is attached to the notice. The notice itself also refers to a specific topic within the course of studies. So to me, it's ambiguous. One meaning is a little narrower than the other. And as much as I would want to talk about the course of studies in general, and this has nothing to do with whether the staff has been prepped or not, I would have to advise us to stick to a narrower reading of the notice. Because again, if we were to open it wide, someone hypothetically could claim that in fact we only noticed a narrow topic, and that is the progression, honors, AP, etc. And so we violated the state meeting rules and notice rules. So just caution.
Thank you,
But
Jean.
I do believe it's a conversation we can have, and there could be some questions ahead of time. And really bring high school staff who are responsible for the program of studies also to the table.
All right, I'm going to recognize in the order that I see them or that they've come to me. So Andrea, Bev, Jay, and Rita. So Andrea.
I'm not sure what you're asking me
Your
because
hand is raised. Your hand is raised.
is it, oh dear, no, I didn't mean to do that. I'm
Okay.
terribly sorry.
That's all right. Bev.
Thank you, Kim.
Absolutely.
I disagree with who was that? Dean? With Dean.
Yeah.
It says program of studies.
This guy over here.
What happened here?
We're getting feedback on Bev, so continue on.
Okay, I disagree with Dean because it says program of studies and we have the attachment and it has all the class courses from the high school. I know it says progression of honors to AP to IB to UConn, but that could have been a separate discussion. I took it as two different discussions, really. I mean, so I disagree with Dean. I understand that the staff isn't here, so, but you know,
Can I just say that the intent was to showcase the progression of the honors to APIB through the program of studies? So to
Okay.
look at the
But
language.
Susan, we've been asking to talk about the courses at the high school for a long time. And so now we're putting it off again for another whatever. Pretty
So-
soon it'll be September and school will start and we still wouldn't have talked about the courses at the high school. So it gets a little frustrating.
Beverly, I'll take ownership of your frustration around, it seems like we're putting this off. Trust me, this is actually going to be on a committee of the whole. It's actually going to be the whole secondary level because we wanted to know classes. We wanted to have the finalization of what the classes looked like. We were going to have a conversation about the career readiness program. There is going to be many things that we're going to be put on all together. So we're not going to have this in September, and that you can take my word for it. It's going to be very soon. Jay.
So reading the State of Connecticut FOI rules, as you alluded to earlier, Kim, with a 2/3 majority vote, we can add an item to an agenda for discussion and possible action. And so I move that we add the question about the marching band credit to this evening's meeting.
Second,
I second that.
Okay, that's been seconded by Matthew. Is there any further conversation? All those in favor?
Wait a
of-
minute, I think Kat had her hand up.
I'm sorry, Kat. You are still on mute. Okay. All right.
That's okay. I couldn't get to it fast enough. Do we have staff here that can address this issue?
We have Susan and we have Phil, and if they don't have the information, we can direct them to get the information and get back to the board about it.
Great, thank you.
Rita?
My understanding was we were going to talk about this tonight. There's a little bold little dot under program of studies attachment 2. Those were, to me, they were two separate topics there. And I'm not sure why the staff of the high school is not here to discuss the program of studies, because if you look at our agenda, that's what was going to be discussed. And I think knowing that this issue about the credit for the marching band has been front and center, and the board has received numerous emails about the credit, I think it should have been addressed tonight. I don't think we should wait any longer. I think maybe there's an answer to this. Maybe there was a misunderstanding, but I really feel that that should be something that is answered this evening. If you could maybe call somebody on the phone, this is a Zoom meeting, somebody from the high school could join us. But when we have right on here, program of studies for the high school, I am shocked that no one is here from the high school. So we have 3 vice principals and we have a principal at the high school.
So-
Someone shouldn't have been at this meeting, especially with this on the agenda. So I don't know how you want to handle this, but we need to have a
Yeah.
discussion about it, and it is on the agenda.
Jay?
Yeah, I want to align myself with Rita's remarks. I was fully expecting the administration to be present tonight, and I don't understand why they're not here. But if we could at least proceed with a vote to add this item, and then we can add the whole program of studies maybe to a future meeting. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go to the motion to add the discussion of the band credit to with the program of studies. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Oppose? Abstain? That motion is carried and that will be added on to, I would say, right after we talk about the progression of honors, AP to IB. Jay, do you have another okay.
Yes, I would like to move that item to now. Since we have people who are here for that, I don't really want the public to have to sit through the next series of agenda items so that we can address the issue that we want to discuss. And so I'd like to move that to now.
I see that that's what I was going to have happen. So thank you, Jay. Susan.
Yes.
So I hear a will from the board to kind of talk about, as you know, I was able to forward to you, to both you and Phil, the multiple emails that we were receiving from parents and students of the marching band program, and the credit, the credit that was going to be taken from them and or not taken from them, actually just a really lack of clarity about understanding about that credit. So I'm wondering if you could at least let the board know where you are in your journey of investigation, and what's the plan of resolution?
So I actually received many of those emails today, sent them forward to Principal Kelleher. I was made aware from a parent earlier and investigated at that time. My understanding was that a parent letter would go out and anyone who wanted credit would get credit, because there was some confusion whether it was in the board catalog program of studies or not. I will be meeting with Principal Kelleher tomorrow to make sure that we do what's right for kids.
What does that mean?
That means that if we've been doing this long standing for the past since 2014-13 is what
Yeah.
I first investigated, then that needs to continue. And actually, I've been in conversation with Principal Kelleher, who said that it was sometimes not seen as a benefit to kids because it was a college level course. And I said, well, let's look at that and work with the board. Perhaps it needs to be an honors level course, like honors orchestra or honors chorus. Certainly, I've met with the band. We just gave them that wonderful award. I know these kids, I've seen them perform, and I really credit them to giving, a lot of time beyond the school day. So whether we need to tighten up what that looks like with the board and have the board involved in the curriculum committee to kind of see what that looks like, I will be talking to Principal Kelleher tomorrow about that.
I'm going to recognize Bev and then Liz.
Thank you again. Susan, how did this come about? I had to step away for a minute, so if you talked about that, I'm sorry I didn't hear. But how was this? How was the hair dropped in the first place?
I'm not sure what the reasoning was for it. I did, as soon as I heard about it, I talked to the principal and he was going to send out some communication to families that they could certainly get the credit and sign up for it. But then I just read a letter that came in today that wasn't as comprehensive as I thought. And I looked through the program of studies and didn't see it. So I will be talking to him tomorrow.
Liz and then Katrina.
Well, I have a couple of questions that are around this act. And I need clarification because it is under my understanding that it's the curriculum committee's charge to create and award credit to courses that go into the program of studies. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay, then who has the authority then to say, oh, well, you can have this club, but we're not going to offer it as credit anymore? I'm a little hot about this if you haven't guessed by my tone of my voice. And I would really like to have some clarification because if it is our charge, this is one of the primary foundations of our committees, of this board, is to have the authority to say, yes, this is a course that's approved. No, it's not. And then just to have somebody say, oh, well, you know, maybe because of low enrollment, we're just not going to offer the credit. I think that is totally an egregious abuse of power. I am really livid about this.
So
And so
I'm not-
I really, excuse me, I am really want this investigated. I want clear answers. And I don't want to see those kids lose this credit, this half credit at all. And I will fight you tooth and nail to keep this going. I just want to put it right out there. Thank you. I apologize, but
So I
I'm
don't,
really
one of the
livid.
things that I'm concerned about is that I've been told there isn't a curriculum for this, that the way that they gave credit was through the time and participation. So I think, and it's only leveled as a college level course. So I think there's some things we can do to adjust this when the board is involved and it is brought to the curriculum committee. I don't know how it got started. It was before my time. I did look to see when it got started and it was somewhere around 2013. I think there's also questions about other programs after school that, you know, may request credit, but this is one that has been a standing practice for years.
Yes, but marching band has had a curriculum that has been board approved. I used to be the department chair for marching band and for music. I know this. And therefore, if it just, and we just moved it after school because of conflicts and things that happened. I was there when that happened.
Thank you.
And then,
So
We will
maybe,
find it, Liz.
so
Yeah.
maybe
We'll have
you-
Phil really look into
Welcome.
that. He's been great at finding curriculum stored.
No, I think that's the question, Liz, is we have to go back to where it started. Because I think that was the question of the current administration. They were sort of looking back and trying to find out how it started. And then we have to have the discussion as to whether we want to continue the way it's been and why or why not.
I'm going to recognize Kat, and then I'm going to recognize Matthew, because Matthew, you have not spoken, and then I'm going to do Jay and then Rita. So Kat, Matthew, Jay, Rita.
Thank you. Susan, it sounded like, I just want to make sure I heard this correctly. It sounded like your conversation with Ted will involve two different things. The credit for band and then making it an honors class. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Matthew?
Thank you. When I looked at this, I saw three discrete, though complementary issues, each of which needs to be dealt with separately, though all of them are linked together. The first is the attribution of promised credit. I take at face value the claims of the students that they were promised credit. I don't know if that's true, but I take it at face value.
I agree.
If it is true, then we have no choice but to honor our commitment. Secondly, I am concerned about the process by which this policy decision, or rather any policy decision, is taken without some discussion by the appropriate committee of the board or the entire board together. So nobody's looking for heads. We just like to be very clear that if we've done something wrong, that needs adjustment, then the board needs to discuss it before a decision is taken. Finally, the communication process of communicating with families and community, at least in this instance, has broken down. These things happen. World's not going to come to an end, but we can try to get better. But I think we need to address all three of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I'm going to recognize Jay, Rita, and then Beverly.
Yes, I just want to clarify with Superintendent Austin. So anyone this year will be getting credit who's currently enrolled for the academic year ending June of 2022, and it'll be offered for next year and the foreseeable future.
Yes, I would like to do something though with regard to bringing it to curriculum committee with whatever, you know, we had originally. It might need to be changed a little bit, but I would like to see it as an honors credit. Any student who does what these band students have done in marching band and in percussion and all the other additional responsibilities that they have, and it really lasts a whole year long. So I really feel like that should be at an honors level.
I want to thank you for responding to this so quickly. I know that this just sort of came up on our radar yesterday. And so I thank you for taking quick and decisive action on behalf of our students and our families.
Thank you.
Rita?
Oh, let me just put that little hand down. Just one second. There. Yes, you know, when you're going through this catalog of the courses and you look at physical education and you see a half credit for weight training, a half credit for basketball, there's even an honors personal weight training credit if you've already taken weight training or personal fitness. I mean, I really feel very strongly that these students need to have, you know, maybe not the first year or as they get on in time, maybe then the honors, but I think it should go to our curriculum committee. And it's just so important. I feel the board has been estranged from the course catalog for too long, and we really need to take a deep dive into it. Thank you.
Beverly? And then Andrea.
A quick question, Susan. If you make this an honors class, how does it affect students? Will any students be left out? Or is it just going to be everybody there is going to get an honors credit?
No, I think it's doing exactly what our plan intends, is to really widen our circle for more kids to have that opportunity. The kids who are already doing it are, I believe, already doing it in an honors way. I think it's a matter of just having the curriculum committee take a closer look at that. But I have to tell you that it's one more example of where we can put honors level work in other departments besides what is typically like the core curriculum.
Yeah, and if I may, Susan, I'm sorry, Bev. I just think that's the point. We have to define what honors is in marching band, what that would look like, define it clearly, and then the students who meet that criteria receive the credit, just like any other honors class.
So are you telling me that some students might not get any credit for being in the marching band, or they get credit, but they won't get honors credit?
No, I think they all should deserve honors credit.
Okay.
We just have to make sure that we, you know, dot our I's and cross our T's. That did not happen prior to this, and I apologize.
I have a question. It doesn't have to do with marching band, but I want to ask you, Susan, if you can find out the answer to this question for me. It's
Okay.
about middle school students with IEPs that cannot, somebody told me middle school students with IEPs cannot do band because of scheduling. So maybe you can find that out for me, if that's true or false.
I did ask that question. I was told that
So
I can get back to you.
yeah,
Thank
Bev,
you.
that's a really good question, and I'm now
No,
very.
I asked her,
by
she
it,
can get back to me. I said she didn't have to answer. I just
but
wanted to
that's
throw
a
it out
really-
there.
That's a great question. Thank you. Andrea?
First, I'd like to support what Jay said and what Rita said. And beyond that, I have a real questions, but beyond questions, about actions beyond authority. And that's really disturbing to me. But then I have a very simple question that can be answered. I thought I heard someone say that there was no curriculum for band. And if that's true, then how can there be credit?
We're going to find that answer because I was told that they didn't have a curriculum. Therefore, that was one of the reasons. And we've been looking for it, but Phil and I will do our due diligence to see what we can find.
Thank you.
Dean,
It sounds like the credit, whether credit is awarded or not, depends on whether or not we do some archaeology. I'm not certain what Fitch has done in the past. I am aware from my high school experience, some courses, and this is going back a lot of years, some courses had a formal curriculum. Other courses had sort of a general content and a textbook, and the lack of a specific outlined curriculum didn't mean that you didn't get credit for it. So are we going to be looking to see what's in the archives, and if we don't find anything, then that's it for credit for the band? Or are we prepared to acknowledge, take what the band does now, because it does essentially the same thing every year. It develops a program, works through it. There's a lot of instruction, a lot of practice, a lot of performances. Are we going to take that and basically codify it into a curriculum so we can say we have a curriculum? Credit will be given. I just don't want to look through the archives, find nothing formal that we could put a label on as curriculum, and then on that basis say, oh, well.
No, I
Yeah.
think, Dean, you're hitting it right on the head there. I mean, we have, and the members of the curriculum committee can attest to this. Over the past year, we found some instances out where we have, you almost have to backtrack a little and find out where things started. And if there's not a curriculum here, it's using what they're doing and formalizing it and approving it through the board process. We don't like to do that. We're hoping that, as we found a lot of the curriculum that we posted on our website for people. But in this case, if one doesn't exist, we're not saying that kids aren't going to get credit. It's about going through and getting the teachers to formalize the process and run it through the approval process with the board.
And this is different than what's happening during the day. So there is curriculum written around all areas of music, K through 12, during the day. So this is an additional component. When students sign up for marching band, the instruction had to occur after hours, and there's a lot of time and energy and effort and learning that goes into that.
I'm going to recognize Kat and then Liz.
Susan, could you give us a formal update on this instead of putting it in board notes so that the students and their families who have attended tonight will get more of their questions answered?
I'd be happy to.
Great,
So-
thank you.
So Kat, are you suggesting that we just use this as an agenda item that gets carried over from this week to next week, formalized?
Yes, please.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you. Liz?
I just want to apologize for being so crazy just a little bit ago. But there are some, I want to thank Matthew because you put it out in a very clear-cut way. Sometimes, as you can tell, I get a little emotional about some things. But Matthew, I think one of the major issues that he pointed out and that Andrea has pointed out is that this process of these types of decisions that are made. And I just think that process, it's like we're an afterthought. And I don't like that feeling. And I don't think that's what we were elected to be.
Well, that
Thank
was
you.
never my intention, I just have to say, but sometimes decisions are made at a building level and, then we're like uncovering what's going on. And so I will make that clear. That's the feeling, that it should have been brought to the board.
Yes, and I'm going to say, you know, this has been something that's been a pattern for a while and it needs to stop.
Got it.
Matthew,
I'm going a bit astray, but not really. We had another issue that came up about T-shirts. I want to thank Kim and the superintendent for resolving that in the particulars, the blue line T-shirts given out at the DARE graduation.
can we step on topic, please?
Yes, it has to do with policies. It has to do with policies that we already have that somehow are not getting to the people who made the decision to allow them. So I'm hoping, I really mean to thank you for jumping on that right away and correcting it, but I'm hoping I'm correct in understanding that our policy on not allowing anything political will be recommunicated to all and sundry.
Okay, so let's please stay on topic, which is about the course study. And right now it's about the band half credit. Thank you, Matt. If I'm not hearing any more comment about that, let me see if I can wrap up the conversation and that I've understood what is coming forth. Susan and Phil, you guys are tasked to sort of kind of find the trail about how this happened and what needs to be done, whether that means that, Phil, you have done your excavation and you have found the curricula that is that is part of the marching band. And that should probably go back to curriculum either way, if there isn't or if there is, so that the curriculum committee can take a look at that. The second thing that I believe that has happened is that we've heard from Susan that all students that are participating in the marching band will be getting that half a credit for this year. And that is something that is going to be moving forward. And there's going to be a clear pathway that's going to be established between the superintendent, actually the board, the superintendent, and the high school administration about how the course of study and the credits should be. And this is leading us for the board. This is leading us to have an agenda item next week to find out the resolution to all of these things, because this is Monday, and this gives Susan and her staff the following days to do that. Did I miss anything, folks, on that? Oh, I'm going to recognize Beverly. I'm going to recognize Andrea and then Matthew. And
No,
Susan, you have quite, I'm sorry, Beverly, one second. Susan, you have quite the glare. So it's
I
almost.
know, it looks like a halo. I'm gonna go turn off the sunshine over there. I'm just gonna move it.
Beverly, I apologize for interrupting you.
Oh, that's okay. I was only going to make a comment. And from my years of being on the Board of Education in the past, the superintendent never likes to be blindsided. And I just want to add from all the comments from Jay and Liz, either does the board. So it goes both ways. That's all I want to say. The board
Agreed.
doesn't want to be blindsided, and either does the superintendent.
No, agreed.
Thank you, Beverly. Andrea and then Matthew. Oh, and Dean.
I just want to make sure that you add that the question that we have about actions going beyond authority. I don't know whether that goes with this, but it certainly is underlying this whatever happened here. And I want to make sure that we address that. Can we do that as well in this section?
Yes.
Thank you.
I've got oh gosh, I've got Matthew and then I've got Dean.
I was going to ask about the communication process. Regardless of what decision is taken for an issue, in this case, there's the marching band, but it's more generic than that. Whether it's pro or con or white or green or orange or pink, the students and families should not be hearing about this when they go looking in their records. Somehow there needs to be some communication channel that's defined. And I'm not smart enough to know what it is, but I hope we can work on that.
Dean?
Yeah, this may not be the most convenient place to put this. I wanted to respond to Bev's response to me. I wanted to make clear, I pretty sure that I said this. I'm not unsympathetic to talking about the entire program of studies. But I do want to point out that when we talk about what we understood the agenda to mean, that is not the point. The purpose of the notice by law is notice to the public. What did the public understand the meeting would be about? And so, as I said, there are two potential interpretations of this, one broader than the other. And I didn't want us to get into trouble. We can avoid this with a 2/3 motion, et cetera. We could talk about anything we want. I suppose that was my only point. It's not about our impression about what was in the agenda. It's the theoretical public, how the law would view the public's understanding of what this was. That's all.
So thank you, Dean. And we did go through a 2/3 vote to just have the limited conversation in the program and study about the marching band, and knowing that we want to bring up in future the program of study at large. And it seems also that there's this need for sort of some communication, not necessarily with just the superintendent and the board, but also from understanding about what's happening in the high school. And so with that thought, do we want to take this progression in program of studies and have that come up next week with the high school admin team folks? Or do we want to continue on?
I have a question.
Yes, Matthew.
This review of the program of studies seems as if it's going to be quite comprehensive from what I've heard from my colleagues. And I'm wondering if rather than try to squeeze everything into a meeting that's already overcharged, if we might not need to have a special meeting sometime in the next month to deal uniquely and solely with that. It's your call. It's just an idea. You can think about it.
I just, so I, in my, once again, folks, I cannot believe how human I am when it comes to being the chairperson. Number 3, agenda item where it says high school course progression of honors. I put down that we're going to use under bullet. So it's still under number 3, under bullet, looking at program of studies, because it made sense in my mind. And obviously I wasn't clear about that. So I really did mean for it to be part of this progression of honors to AP IB. So I apologize for all of that confusion. And that's why it was just a bullet and not another agenda, number 4 agenda item. It was number 3. But my question is, does the board want to continue? Susan and Phil are prepared to talk about the progression of honors. And this is really based on that there's a lot of community input and output about the fact that we don't have this honors 11 course. And so my question is, do we want to wait and have Ted come back and answer to that? Or do we want to hear what Phil and Susan have prepared? And then if we can ask questions and then they can come back to us with those questions. Andrea.
I think that's a good idea. I think that I'd like to hear about what Susan and Phil have prepared, and then devote an entire meeting to the program of studies.
Okay. Does that seem like that? So we're just going to continue on with that. So Susan and Phil, I'm going to move us. And so once again, I would like to share exactly what Jay and what Beverly and what all of us have stated. It was this activism that got the board to send the information to Susan. I actually am very proud of the district. Maybe we don't have all the answers, and maybe there's lots of issues that have been uncovered, but we have been able to at least assure people that there has been a response. And so, but if it wasn't for you guys, this would have never come up. And so that's what makes living in a community amazing, is that you guys note that there's a concern and you bring it to our attention, so at least we can have it noted. So my thanks to the parents, my thanks to the students. So I just wanted to let you know, please feel free to stay on. But we are moving on to the next agenda item, which is the progression of honors. Susan, Phil, take it away.
Okay, I mean, really what we wanted to do, I'm going to share my screen in a second. You know, I realized that you guys were given the entire program of studies, and I wanted to just break it down and hopefully facilitate a short discussion based on the progression of classes that has seemed to come up. Specifically, English is what I'm going to focus on, because that's what seems to. Let me see if I could share my screen here. Could people see that? Right, we could see that. You know, obviously, you know, I highlighted, basically, I pulled this stuff right out of the program of studies to make it a little bit easier for us to look at. You know, this slide is simply a short description of all the programs we offer. Going back to what you know, I hear a lot of people saying about communication. This is something that's part of the plan, both with, you know, that Peter and Ted talked about in terms of, you know, boosting enrollment into a lot of these programs, is to communicate what these programs are all about, to hopefully help people better understand what each of these programs has to offer. That's not my focus tonight. Obviously you're going to hear a lot and you're going to see these abbreviations. So I wanted, and the acronyms, so I wanted to sort of spell it out for you. But really, if we look, and I pulled out the language and I underlined that the first line of almost each one that sort of describes to you really what I see as the main difference in each of these classes. And perhaps you know this, and so I apologize for those of you who this is common knowledge to, but it helped me sort of visualize possibly what the question is about in terms of why honors doesn't continue into 11th and 12th grade. So here's the description that's in the course catalog about honors English 9. And hold on, no, I'm sorry. I wanted to start with the college prep, okay, which is designed for students who are reading at grade level and have demonstrated competency in language skills. Okay, to move to the next, from college prep to honors, you see that this one is designed for students with high levels, not only of skill and achievement, but of motivation as well in reading and writing. So you can see, you know, just that difference in words sort of tells you, you know, and students have to be recommended based on different factors for the honors classes. Oh, hold on. Sorry, this is jumping all around. I apologize. The college prep for English 10, again, is recommended for students who are reading at grade level and demonstrated competency in language skills, whereas the honors is for students with high levels of skill, motivation, and achievement. You'll notice that generally the content of the class is similar, but you know, again, things that the teachers could speak to, or the administration, is it could deal with pacing of the class as well, and the level of depth that they go into in their conversations and the novels and the writing that they do. Moving on to 11th grade, which is where the concern comes in. Again, you have your college prep English 11. Again, it's recommended for students who are at grade level and demonstrate competency in different language skills. Again, you see some of the units of study are spelled out there, and there are 8 units of study. Now, instead of the honors, we offer AP UConn English 11, the ECE English, which is, you know, I put the number there. That's just the course in the course catalog. This class is built, you know, again, designed for highly motivated for students ready for rigorous and supportive writing program. It's really specifically built to support higher level college writing in a way that gets them to gets many different learners onto the same page. Again, this is one of those classes that we talked about with Peter and Ted in terms of we want to encourage more students to take part in. That's where the motivation piece comes in. Building on, you know, from 9th grade, and even, you know, we obviously with Peter involved, we talk about building this confidence and motivation in the middle school for students to get into these classes and to really motivate them to get to try to achieve at a high level in these classes. This
Can I
is
add one thing too, that it
Absol-
also,
absolutely.
we're trying to tie the UConn credit in with AP and IB in the future. And that would allow students to be able to take the test for AP and get credit through that, and also bring I believe, 4 credits of UConn coursework with them when they do graduate and go on to further education. So it really is a chance to do that kind of level of work and preparation, and it really should be the parallel to honors. It's not a double step up, it's just a step up like we do each year. So I just wanted to
Right.
make that analogy.
No, and that's the great way to look at it. It's a parallel to honors with the additional, way to make credit, college to gain college credit. The IB classes, again, this is for IB diploma candidates and non-diploma students, again, who have that, this is, this language, if you notice, it's right from the honors description. They demonstrate high skill, motivation, and achievement in English. So again, it's for people that are in the diploma program as well as not. And they, again, that's a high level class that's very similar to honors level. Grade 12, just like 9th, 10th, and 11th, offers the college prep English for kids at grade level. And then also the AP UConn and the ECE credit, grade 12, as well as the IB English 12 higher level. So again, I don't know if this helps, if we're telling you things that you already know, but I thought this was a good way to look at the language of the course catalog and the level of and what is being done in these classes. Now, again, I think future conversations right from the teachers or from the administration can talk more in detail about how things are taught and the level of depth in each of these levels and what that means. But again, that's part of our process and our hope in going back to Peter and Ted's plan to increase enrollment in these classes and to get students motivated to take higher level classes and get credit, get college credit, as well as possibly, IB diplomas.
And I know the support question will come up, and I know that when they take that next step, that there are task classes which are designed to give them that added support when taking this step up.
Yep, that's back in the presentation. I think I actually attached it to this. And again, I can send this back out. I included the plan here, but this is, sorry. Whoop. This is the slide that they talked about, increasing the supports, possibly determining the need for summer classes to prepare kids for the higher level classes. That's what HLC means. And then looking at the support through the task classes, and then individual supports for kids as well during those classes, who are enrolled in those classes. So that goes back again to Ted and Peter's presentation that you should have back in your notes, or I could prepare, or I could send out again.
I have a question, Phil.
I'll let
Rita
Kim
has had
talk.
her.
I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other again, but
I'm gonna do Rita, and then I'm gonna do Matthew, and then I'm gonna do Bev,
Okay.
and then Nan.
When we look at the courses of study for English 11, you have an AP UConn ECE English Introduction to Academic Writing, but no regular English for those, no honors classes. Then you have an IB English that you're, I think, looking to filter students in. But to me, I know that there is an AP UConn English honors class that is available in all other high schools. And for some reason, you've ignored that and you've just sort of want everybody to be filtered into the IB English, you know, the higher level course. And
Are you
and I
talking about
don't-
other schools that offer IB also
No,
have?
I'm talking about our course catalog here,
Right.
which has changed. And I understand the direction you're moving. But I don't feel that students should, you know, just to take an 11th grade English class and an introduction to academic writing is wonderful. To me, that's more of an elective. But you need to have a regular honors AP UConn English class, which they've always had at Fitch for 11th grade students, and then again 12th grades. Do know that for many years they have not offered an honors, just plain old honors English 11 or 12. But to only have it, and then they have like the regular one, which is called, you know, college prep English. I know that's it's not a very challenging course, 11 and 12. And then when you read this, it says this is for, you know, students who are reading at grade level and who have demonstrated competency. So what are we doing for the students? There's two parts to this question. What are we doing for students who are not on grade level in 11th grade? You know, you have AP UConn English, academic writing, you have an IB 11, you know, for IB students and maybe anybody else that wants to take it. Then you have a college prep English for those who are reading at grade level. But what are we doing for those students that are not at grade level? And there are many, many students that are not at grade level in 11 reading at 11, 12th grade level.
I thought so that they're in the college prep classes with support,
well,
but I
now,
can verify that.
I know that they're in that college class, but believe me, I have seen and had a child that was part of one of those classes, and it is not the way it should be. First of all, they're very crowded classes because a lot of students feel that they're maybe, you know, not ready to take an AP UConn or an IB English class. And then it sort of just drops down to this college prep with nothing in between. So, I mean, I really feel that this whole English course catalog that our students have available to them is very limited. And it's doing a disservice to the majority of the students at the high school. Those students that excel are going to do great at Fitch. There is a lot of opportunities, but it's the bulk of the students that I think do not have the opportunities that they should have, especially in 11th and 12th grade. There are no honors 11th, there's no honors 12, it's just college prep, and it's not a true college prep class. I could guarantee that that is not the case. But that's just my feelings. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Beverly and then Andrea.
Okay, thank you, Kim.
Absolutely.
I agree with Rita. What I'm hearing from parents is that the college level class is the old basic class, and that it's really not a college level class. The students are really basic level students, but you're calling it college prep or whatever you call it. So a lot of parents are saying this for students that don't want to be in AP and IB. You have eliminated a spot for them to go to, and that would be the honors class. So I really think that you should consider putting that honors English back into the course catalog, because a lot of students don't, I know, even though we say we're going to give them the support, they still don't want to be in that class. They'd rather just be in the honors level class. They don't want AP and IB, and they don't want the college class because it's a basic class. So we're missing some students that we really could be helping and not pushing forward.
Thank you, Beverly. Andrea?
I agree with Beverly, and I have a question about who chooses what classes the the students are assigned to, do parents have any input? And I'm asking that because it was my experience when we were at the junior high school level and we had low basic, average and above average classes, that to me, it always made sense for the parents to make the decision about where their child should go. And to me, the higher level classes, the accelerated classes, should have been open to anybody who wanted to go in there. So that's one of my concerns. The other one is, oftentimes, I would recognize a student who was not doing as well as that child could do. And I knew that if that child were in a class that had high expectations, that child would rise to the occasion.
Right.
And I think that we're eliminating that opportunity for those children. And I don't know if you remember Marva Collins, but I remember seeing a documentary on her, and she saw this student that was just not in the class, and he was physically there, but not really there. And she put a book in front of him that was just above, just that little bit above where he was. And that's the thing that turned that child right around. And I can remember one time when we were inviting 8th grade students to the Martin Luther King dinner, there was one student that one of the teachers wanted me to invite, and I gave her every reason why that child should not be invited. She did this, she did that, she didn't do this, she didn't do the other thing. And Mrs. Amoli said to me, that's the very reason that you should invite her. And then I saw that individual later on, and she said that experience turned her life around. And finally, the thing is, doesn't this fall under Chef versus O'Neill? Isn't this the same thing? You know what I'm saying? Did I say the wrong? I may have said the wrong name, but you know what I mean. That Philip, tell me the right name for that.
No, I'm trying to.
I think you're correct. I think you're
I
correct.
think you're correct.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Yeah.
that's the whole point of raising this bar and also giving support to kids.
And I think
And that's why basic classes are no longer with us.
Yeah, but they're called.
They're not the same thing. I mean, we have evidence to support. I mean, they're not the same thing. So,
But
And I think I really think that we're saying the same thing here. First of all, I want to say I do remember Marva Collins. Marva Collins's Way is one of my favorite books, and it's still on my shelf. And I really think we're saying the same thing. Only we're looking at the IB high level classes in 11th and 12th grade as an honors class. And I think the perception of IB is that it's this elite thing that kids can't, that it's because the way we're talking tonight, it sounds like we have the college prep on one side and this elite class on the other, and there's nothing in between. And I think that we really have to work hard to eliminate that perception. And that's part of the problem, I think, in terms of the enrollment in these classes and people's knowledge about these classes, because people think if they're not going to Ivy League schools, they shouldn't even bother with IB. So I think that's part of our discussion that we have to have, but I do think we are saying the same thing, or at least that we want the same thing.
and I would add that students have a voice and parents have a choice. And while some things may be recommended by counselors or teachers, it's still really important that students understand the pathways. I mean, that's one of the things we're going to be working on through communications, is that children know before they get to middle school, what are their opportunities? Before they get to high school, what are their opportunities? So that's really a work that I want to see come to fruition, and that they do have choices.
so, and it's clear to parents that they do
Clear.
have choices.
That's
All
right. That's
Okay.
right.
They do, but I think we have to communicate better about what we're offering too.
Mhm.
I think that's part of the
Absolutely.
problem.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to recognize Matthew and then Rita and then Beverly.
Oh, no.
Are you done? No, you're not?
Yes, oh God, I did something that gives me the permission to record. I have no idea what I did. So yes, I am done. And I'll be quiet.
Matthew,
This is an area of admitted weakness to me. And while I want to align myself with what I heard from Rita, I came at it differently. I came at it by looking at the CP level language, reading at grade level, and asking myself, how many people are not reading at grade level? What are the data sets that we have available so we can see whether we're talking of a population of 1% or a population of 15 or 20%? I certainly don't know. I don't know if career path gives us some insight into it. What percentage of our kids are in career path? What percentage of our kids are reading below grade level? Because as you do for the least of us, et cetera, I am less worried about the kids who are really well motivated. They'll find their path. We have a great program for them. I don't know enough about honors versus non-honors to weigh in with any opinion. Only I do want us in our aspiration to get everybody to the highest step possible, to not unintentionally leave people behind and discouraged. We're doing a great job, I believe, in our career path program, which is evolving. I want to be sure the academics necessary to support the career path are there. So what do we do for kids below grade level? And where are they going to be? And if this is not the appropriate time, I'm willing to accept that, but some point I'd like to talk about that.
so Matthew, what I hear you saying is that when we go into a conversation about for more understanding of the course of study, what would be important for the board to have as a basis of knowledge is the data sets about where are our students functioning, and who and what is enrolled in terms of bulk, and what are people needing, so that as we approve or not approve programming, we're doing it with the best information that we have.
I think so. I mean, between the IEP and the ones who are functioning well, there is a certain cohort, and I don't know what it is, of people who are, quote, weak sisters academically, not in terms of their spirit.
Okay.
And I just want to be sure that we give them as much energy as we give the ones that we want to move to the top level.
Got it. Thank you. Rita.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that this is not lost, that there is AP, UConn, ECE, 11th grade English and 12th grade, not only academic writing, that's in addition to a regular English class. And I just feel that we're getting lost there. And if you want to put IB English/honors 11, you could do that. But there's definitely, I mean, my children took this at Fitch High School, AP, UConn. And the other thing I think that parents don't realize is that oftentimes a college will, let's say you've earned 8 credits in calculus. A college will not give you those 8 credits until you take calculus 3, and then they want to know your proficiency. So just because you might take this in high school and it's recognized sometimes in Connecticut, in University of Connecticut or Southern or Central, it's not always the case in all the other colleges. You're going to have to prove yourself. And Andrea, in 1998, my husband and a few other people met with the principal at that time, Mr. Luciano, and that was when we had no longer were students have to be recommended by a teacher to take an honors course. Anybody can take any one of these courses, which is the beauty of our high school and the way it should be, because not everyone develops at the same time. And, you know, somebody might not do great in Algebra 2, but then all of a sudden, you know, wants to take, you know, a higher level class. So everything is open to everyone at Fitch, which
Thank
is
you.
great.
Beverly?
Thank you. Even though parents and students have a choice, by eliminating the honors class, we have eliminated one of their choices. So again, I would hope, I don't think it's going to happen, that we reinstate an honors class for those students who may not want to take the AP and the IB class, but don't want to go down to the college level class, because as I'm hearing, that is like a basic class. So not unless we do something with that college level class, and the students that are basic in that college level class have their own basic class, and then that college level class would be a true honors class. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Oh, and I also agree with Rita about, and I had a note on that page about college planning and admissions. And it says the Connecticut University system generally requires a minimum of, and then I put a note, what about the other universities? But that's a discussion for another day, I guess.
Katrina? And then Liz.
Thank you. Could,
Katrina, you are,
Phil, Susan.
Katrina, you are frozen.
explain what the do it again.
Yeah, you're frozen.
And garbled.
And yeah,
Couldn't understand you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you try it again now, Katrina?
Hear me now? Yes. Hello?
There's an echo, but we can hear you.
I know. Can you hear me now? Without the echo?
oh, perfect.
Okay, then I'll say it fast. Can Susan and Phil please explain the difference between the college prep English classes and what would need to be done, or what the additional requirements would be for honors class, honors English?
All right. What I hear you saying, Katrina, is I have no idea what you were saying. I'm sorry, folks. I've lost that train
I
of
think
thought.
she's looking for us to differentiate what would the expectations be in it from an AP class to an honors class to a college prep class, I believe, which again is something that I think is worthy of a discussion, because again, what I'm hearing is, people are talking about the college prep being a basic class and the AP being too advanced, and then speaking about honors as a I don't view honors as a middle level class. So I think we do have to set the look at what the expectations would be at all three levels to make sure that they meet our definition of what honors would be or IB. I think that's.
Can I say one thing though? We have something called Common Core standards, and they're utilized K through 12. So the Common Core standards, or the Connecticut Core standards, are what we use in designing our curriculum. That's for a college course, that's for an honors course, that's an AP has additional features to it, as well as UConn. So we're actually doing some matching this summer and organizing ourselves. So Common Core is your foundation. And then those other things happen as well. Sometimes I think an honors course is just a pacing issue, that there might be some more challenging questions to go along with it, but it really is the same course as the college course with a little more rigor and pacing. But there is going to be some work done by our teams this summer where they're really going to look at what UConn credit, and that goes for any of the schools in Connecticut, UConn credit expectations are, what AP expectations, and what IB, so that we can really make sure our kids get the most mileage out of all those classes. It would be great if they had the certificate, if they had the AP test, and if they had the UConn credit, because that could save their parents a lot of money.
I'm going to recognize Liz.
Yeah, Phil and to the rest of the curriculum committee, I think this is something that we have discussed. And we were trying, one of the things we were trying to discover was what would an honors class look like in lieu of what an AP English class would look like. So I think that's something we still need to investigate. And I'd like to see if we could invite Amy McKenna to join us to discuss this. So, but this is not something that hasn't been discussed before. And I don't think it has been clear of really what the difference is. And if the difference only means that they don't have to take the test, that might be a part of it. I don't know. So I think this is something for further discussion. So Phil, could you put that on our agenda, please?
Absolutely.
You guys are going to be meeting for hours.
Oh, yeah, well, there's a lot to
I'll
do
clear
in
my
curriculum.
schedule.
Yeah.
Yes,
It
yeah,
actually might be something good for the 3 coordinators. We have the humanities coordinator, Carmita Hodge. We have Caitlin Kennedy for the STEM, math and science. And then we have Amy for literacy. And they really are very knowledgeable. They are, some of the people who've written these curriculums and really connotated the differences between the standards in college versus AP and honors.
One of the things I'm thinking about is I feel so very fortunate and thankful to the board that we're actually having this really in-depth, invigorating conversations around the stuff that we have been asked to, or we've been elected to do. That we have moved as a board from like trying to do the crisis to crisis to crisis mode, and to really get to understand, what's involved, what's not going well, what's going well, how do we need to respond. And so this conversation, I think, is just a great example of that. And so I just wanted to say my thanks out to the board of our ability just to have these kind of conversations and to move our district forward. What I'm understanding of tonight is that there's some curriculum committee has been having this conversation, and maybe they need to kind of help distinguish what that would look like in terms of what is an honors, what is the difference. I think Phil and Susan, it sounds to me that there is some concern. Good people are coming to board members saying that the college prep class feels like a basic. And I do know, and I believe, Beverly, Rita, I know that you and I have been continuously on the board together. And Beverly, I think that you were part of the board when it was being presented to us to remove the basic level, and that we were moving it up to college prep. And so maybe one of the things that we have just lost sight of and lost hold of and lost conversation about is the college prep truly college prep, or are we just calling it something a little bit more glitzy than what it was? And so I feel that we need to have some investigation on that. But Susan, to your point as well, this is not just a discussion on English. My guess is that the other core. And so once again, folks, it sounds to me like we just need to have like a really in-depth couple hours worth of work to hear about the course of study, also to hear about what's happening in the high school, what's going on with the classes. And I look forward to putting that agenda together with Susan. Did I hit anything? What am I missing? Liz?
Kim, I would be prepared for more than a couple of hours.
Well, okay. So
I'm just saying.
The goal that I have tried to hold is that, adult learning theory is that really 2 hours, and 2 hours, if we're doing, some of us are doing hybrid, 2 hours is a good chunk of time. If that means that we need to kind of carry it over to another committee of the whole or another regular board of ed meeting, I'm cool with that. But no, I'm not limiting it. Oh, sorry, it's 2 hours and we're done talking about it. That hasn't been my style yet, but maybe. Andrea, and then Matthew.
I just wanted to thank you, Kim, for this kind of discussion. It truly shows the soul of this, board, and that's due to your leadership. So I thank you.
Matthew, thank you. Matthew.
At the risk of completely having misunderstood Liz, let me try to reframe what I thought she was driving at. We are in a recovery mode. COVID is not gone, but we are in a recovery mode. It seems like for the first time in a long time, we're really able to dig into some stuff that we've wanted to do for a long time. What this may mean, and here's the downside to that, is we may have to have a few special meetings to catch up because we've fallen a lot behind. The guilty party is the virus. That's it. The guilty party is the virus. We may need to have some extra meetings if you think the board can tolerate it, and if they don't shoot me for having suggested it.
I also think that we have to be careful about the staffing because along with our special meetings, it also is special meetings for the superintendent. So, but we need to, we have the summer too, which tends to be lighter in terms of agenda topics. And so we can put that on. I'm going to recognize Rita and Beverly.
In terms of all the special meetings, I really feel that not only the virus, but the budget really, we devoted so much time and so many meetings to the budget. It'd be nice if somehow we could consolidate those next year and then spend more time on curriculum and the things that are really important to us as a board.
Thank you,
So,
Rita. Thank you.
that's
Bev.
Thank you. Susan, I think I asked you this before. If you can send me some test scores. I mean, I know you haven't had anything recently, but the most recent data that you have for test scores, can you send that to me so I can take a peek at them?
I
Well,
can
send
send
it
you
to
the
all.
presentation. I can send you all the presentations that we gave at the beginning of this year. The other thing, one of the things you mentioned was reading level. And we do have reading level information 3 times a year for elementary, middle school, and high school. The final test, though, I think is in May, and I think it's always good to see where they started, where they were in the middle, and then where they ended. So there is some data that we'll be able to showcase. We're also getting SBAC data back pretty quickly. The kids are taking the test this month, and we've gotten it back kind of mid-July. It's usually embargoed, but I can at least tell you the surrounding story about it. So we have some presentations from earlier this year after we received SBAC data, but we also have information that we're gathering now on reading and reading levels.
Okay, thank you. Can you send me all the data then? Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Send it to all of us, please.
Please.
Rita?
Yes, I had one more thought, looking at the course catalog that was presented to us. We had an inquiry from parents about the string orchestra. Looking at this, on page 44, it says string orchestra, 1 credit, grades 9 through 12. And I believe the concern was that was being, some of the was being done away with. It doesn't look like from this course catalog that that's the case. So I just want to have someone check with the music department to make sure that string orchestra will be continued in grades 9 through 12. Okay.
And I think the question was also, Rita, that honors level, that they were
Yes.
looking to see honors level versus college level. So I will also ask that question.
I don't remember that. I just, my email was that they were not going to offer string orchestra. I don't think it had anything to do with honors. They were just concerned that it was going to be done away with and not offered.
I can't imagine that in this town when
I
we have
hope
kids
not.
starting with strings in 2nd and 3rd grade.
Yes.
So
yes.
that is not something that we would ever
Great.
contemplate. But I
Thank
do
you.
remember the question around honors.
Honors. Okay.
All right. So the next couple of items that have been offered is the Alliance status. I believe that Susan received some new information about that. And the next one are kind of tied together was the cost savings and avoidance. That is because wow, English obviously was not my first success story in high school. Let me try this one more time. We're going to have an RTM meeting where we are going to have our vote voted on. I know that we met with the education committee in the RTM, but this coming Wednesday after the RTM meeting, their budget season is coming to a close and they are going to be voting on the board budget. One of the things that has kind of rung clear through RTM, as they should, because they are being stewards for the town, is to kind of take a look at the cost savings and avoidances. So one, I'm going to kind of give this to Susan and her staff to take a look at the alliance status. Let's then ask questions about that. But then the lead in is, Susan, you and your staff can go in to conversations about cost savings and avoidance.
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
So we did get some good news, you know, are we in the alliance districts? Are we out? Have we graduated? Have we not? And when it first came to my attention, I was very concerned. The State Department gave us that good news, bad news call. And I kept asking and pushing, and, you know, I can be a little bit pushy, but I did ask, I wanted evidence, what data were they using? And it was really vague. It was basically data prior to COVID that we had made such progress on, and I still had concerns. So I reached out to Chris Conley and Heather Summers and told them my concerns, because I was frightened that if they did say that even if you're a graduate for 5 years, you would maintain your ECS, you would maintain the 200,000 this year and 200,000, and it wouldn't affect us. But I still had my concerns. So when they were talking about the bill that was securing this, and I believe it was HB 05506 from this year, I was able to get on, and, you know, I waited a long time, but I was able to present my testimony. I also presented it or shared it with the board members, and I got some interesting reactions from the people listening. Like, they really did question why this was happening. So I think Chris Conley and Heather did their part as well. And what ended up happening was there was a decision made that, as I said in my board notes, that there wouldn't be 33 districts. They were going to add on 3 more districts that were entering, so that there would be 36 total alliance districts. One of the things about being an alliance district, you know, certainly it would be great to graduate someday, but certainly that 25 million in ECS is very important to Groton. And I wouldn't want to see that dissolved, or, you know, even, you know, they said they wouldn't just take that away, but it could decrease each year. So they reevaluated it. They determined, and the bill was being signed, you know, the budget was being signed off by, you know, our Governor Lamont, I think today or tomorrow. And what we understood was that we would be part of the alliance for the next 5 years. They aren't doing any graduate status at this point. That we would also, what that also did for the town was it gave the town $500,000 as a tier 1 pilot. So it would go, that $500,000 would go directly to the town, which this has never happened before. So they're really looking at the towns that are supporting these alliance districts. And like I said before, I think sometimes it has more to do with the number of free and reduced lunch and DERGs like ours that do get this title. We also get a lot of support educationally, networking. I meet with the superintendent. So, you know, it's something that I have really appreciated. I think I had put down that the additional 500,000 in the tier 1, and that, you know, the ECS would remain, and so would the $200,000 each year. We are going to put a call out, and I don't know, Ken, if you were able to reach the Connecticut State Department, but he's going to call out to their accountant to find out what does that mean over time. We really were never given those additional funds through the budget at the state. What happened was that the State Department of Education secured funds for the, additional, we were the additional 3, now there's an additional 6 communities that came in as alliance. So I will give you information as I receive it. So I think that was a good decision. I thought it was a little premature at the time. I still want to see our kids make great progress. I will definitely be on it to collect SNAP data, because that's really, I've shared that with the board, that I'm not sure we always get accounted for those students who need free and reduced lunch and who would qualify. SNAP is automatic when a family signs up for Husky insurance, but if they are in our military and they get TRICARE, they're not automatic. So we're going to work carefully, Phil and Tom and I, to make sure that with registration and with the beginning of the new school year, we're collecting all of that data so that families, whether it's that treehouse program, whether it's free and reduced lunch, or, whatever the case may be, the alliance, that we do have our numbers accounted for so families get the support they need. Anybody have questions about this?
Matthew?
Question for Susan. I'm tremendously excited about that potential good news. Does this mean that we may be able to negotiate with the town that some of the money that they're getting, which is, I hate to use the word windfall, but let's say unexpected funds, can be used to help us with some of our capital projects?
That's a neat idea. There's also some other windfall you're going to hear about in just a minute. So there's other funds that have gone directly to the board for education that have gone, or I'm sorry, not to the board, but to the town side. So we're going to be talking about those few things as well.
Kat?
Excuse not putting the camera on. I'm hoping it will help with the computer issue.
So far, so good.
I had good. With this alliance funding, let me preface this by saying, from what I understand, and I think Susan spoke to the town manager, there is a line item account and it has education in the line, and it's money that the town holds. And I would ask, where is that from? How did they use it? Does it stay in the account a certain amount of time and then it goes in the general fund? Do you remember that conversation with John Burt, Susan? I think you had mentioned you did have a conversation with him.
We have had a conversation, mostly that, my asking the question, and I'm not so sure that we really got a definite answer, but I can ask it again.
Thank you. One of the things I'd like to know also is how much is in that?
Mhm.
That leads to my question of 500,000. That goes to the town. Will that go, maybe that's part of the account, I don't know. But since the money goes to the town and the alliance funding, you need to justify how you're going to use it, correct?
Yes, all of our grants are very specific, and we have to really be very careful about budgeting for them and the narrative and giving evidence to support what we're doing with it.
Yes. So my question is, do you need, because they're like, I thought the go-between, but I'm not sure because of that account you just talked about. Does that mean that we need approval from the town as to how we use that money? Number two, can they hold back a portion of that money for the town, specifically in the system's benefit?
My understanding was that $500,000 was for the town specifically, but I can find out more information about it.
Because I would like to know if an educational chunk of money is given to the town, how does that support education?
Mhm. Well, that's similar to the conversation we're going to be sharing with you on impact aid as well.
Okay.
So,
I've had that question from a town councilor, so I'm very not only personally curious, but other people are curious as well. So if you could
Right.
talk to him about that, I would appreciate it.
yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thoughtful questions. Thank you, Kat. Susan, any other questions about the Alliance? Sorry. Falling down on my job.
And I'm hoping that once this gets signed, that there will be some press out on it, and I'll get word from the State Department of Education. Right now, it's been really up to us to figure these things out, and we've not gotten anything in writing. Even during the time when we were graduating, I kept asking, well, where is it in writing? So as soon as I get the writing, I will absolutely give it to the board because I'm interested.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Cost savings and avoidances.
Okay, Ken, that's you.
Okay. As you alluded to, Kim, at the RTM Education Committee meeting, there were a couple of questions. The first question was, I'm going to share my screen. What were the positions that or what were the cost savings or avoidances that we attained through the Groton 2020 plan? And so Laurie Lapine and I sat down and we went kind of back to 3 different occasions when we closed Pleasant Valley and shifted all those students to other schools. Then we consolidated the 2 middle schools into Groton Middle. And then of course, last year or beginning of this year, I should say, we closed the 3 schools and opened the 2 new ones. And so we were identifying what positions we were able to eliminate through that process.
Can you go up to the top of that page, Ken?
Oh, it's not at the top?
I don't see it. No, it's kind of, I think you just have to move your toggle.
I'm
Hey,
gonna,
Ken, the next time, can you send us this information beforehand if you can, so we can review it beforehand?
Thank you, Beverly.
all right, let's see. Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so these were the positions that we identified as being eliminated through those 3 different occasions for a total of a net total of 23. I will make a note that with the magnet school consolidation for FY22, the year we're in, we actually did eliminate an assistant principal position as well as a clerical position. But as you know, we put those back into the budget. So this is with them back in, and it's a net reduction of 23 positions. And the next question we asked ourselves is, well, what does that really mean as far as dollars? And that's what this next section down calculates. This is the annual costs that we are avoiding by not having those positions in the staff. And it's as you can see, it's almost $1.5 million. And this is for salaries, payroll taxes. It does not include, so there might be more savings not identified here for health insurance. We did not identify who did or didn't take health insurance, but presumably out of 23 employees, there probably were some that were taking the health insurance, and so that's additional savings.
Can you talk about savings versus cost avoidance? Because we've tried to explain that several times, and I know I've said it out loud, and there's still some members from the town council and the RTM who still aren't very clear on what that means. So just to refresh our memory.
Sure. So cost savings is that's those are the savings that are we achieve in the first year of any of these different things that happen. Whereas cost avoidance is thereafter. Was once you saved it in that first year, it's no longer it's not in either year, so we're just avoiding it altogether, so it doesn't show up. So basically, this 1.5 million is entirely at this point cost avoidance, costs that we would have had to incur had we not gone through this process.
Would it be right to say that when PV closed and all of those people, either retired or were no longer with us, then it was $563,000 that we saved that year?
Yeah, correct. Now, one caveat, this is at FY23 values. So back in 2017, when this happened, it would have been less than that. But essentially, you're right. Yes.
And the same thing is true with the middle school.
Correct.
And then the magnet school consolidation.
And then in this last section down here, this is just cumulative since the PV closure of the costs that have been saved or avoided since then. And this is through FY23, because that's the budget we're looking at, a little over $6 million. A big chunk of that coming from the Pleasant Valley closure, because that happened it'll be 6 years come next year. So, it's a lot of years to have avoided those costs.
And then you have some notes down below.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to look at those?
Yeah.
Let's see. Sorry about that. So, and you'll notice here under the cumulative, I colored them in blue, where we really only got 1 year of costs saved for that principal and secretary position, because we put them back in the FY23 budget. But we did go without them for this fiscal year. So that's that. And then.
And that principal is not coming back as a principal, it's coming back as an assistant principal.
You're right. Correct.
So is that salary accurate for an assistant?
Well, that was the salary. Well, a good point. That is an elementary school principal salary. So perhaps that should be elementary school assistant principal salary.
Right.
That's a good point. Thank you. But the rest of these rates they're just based upon average rates. For instance, for the teachers, we used the master step 5 rate. And then we took an average for the custodial and secretary positions.
Okay.
So, folks, the reason why I asked Susan and Ken to kind of go over this is that they were going to present this to the RTM, and it was somewhat kind of hot off the press. And so I wanted to make sure that the board had access to that information before it went to another town body. But I, at this point, would entertain I won't entertain, but that Susan and Ken would entertain any questions.
Can I just also say, I did send an email to the board, but it was this afternoon when I got all those charts and graphs together. So there's other things too, like impact aid that we added. So that look at those charts, because that's also worthy of a conversation. And I think I put it in board notes too, that we've had an additional $4 million come back over what we've predicted for impact aid, and that's gone right to the town. Is that number accurate, Ken?
That is, yes.
So where it went, I'm not sure. So that's my other question.
Any questions from the board? Beverly.
Not a question, but Susan, was this handout, not a handout, was this presentation that Ken just gave us? Did you send that to us too?
Yep, I sent them all together in an email. If
Okay,
you don't see it, I'd be happy to send it out again.
okay, I'll check and see. Thank you.
I think it was this afternoon.
It was this afternoon.
So if I'm not hearing any other, I am going to go into our last, outside of the suggested future topics, I'm going to our last agenda item. All right, Jay, I am very sorry about going over this one more time, but I just want to make sure that we are doing it right. The next part is a naming committee. And I mentioned it, and then I actually think that my personal life loss of my mom kind of took over control, and I did not follow through on this. But then I went back to the policy, which was given to you as an attachment. It's the naming of the facility, which is the policy, which is P7751. And then on the other side is the regulation. So it is the prerogative, the policy says it's the prerogative of the board to establish the need and appropriateness for naming any school unit or whatever, which is the new buildings. I think we're specifically talking about the athletic, the library space, not unlike what happened with Dr. Grenier in the Groton Middle School. But the regulation of that is that that we would appoint a committee composed of 2 citizens from the immediate community to be served by the particular school, 1 representative from each of the following groups: teachers, admins, PTA, PTO, and 2 student representatives from the area to be served. I just want to make sure that that is the interpretation that other members of the board has from between the policy and regulation. I'm just looking for clarification. Andrea, and then Liz, and then Rita.
It's been the history behind this is that the practice has been that when it comes to naming schools, the building itself, then the entire community is invited. Well, parts of it. But when it comes to naming of say a gym or a library, that has always been just the prerogative of the board. That's the established practice.
Yep. I just want to get it down right the last time. I'm going to do Liz, Rita, you had your hand up, and then Jay.
I just wanted to clarify because it says for that general procedure, the board shall appoint a committee. It doesn't say anything about board members being on that committee.
I noticed that too. Maybe that
Okay, I was wondering, is that, are we allowed?
Yeah, practice has been that you've always been on.
All right, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think for policy committee, that needs to be adjusted at the policy committee.
Yep.
Right.
Also, the language of the regulation says that that it's the naming of schools and school facilities for
Right.
persons, who've attained prominence.
Right.
Or in the field of education, science, art, sports, listing all of these different possibilities. So it does say for both the building or other parts of the school facility. So it's a little vague.
I think Andrea. Oh no, Rita, and then Jay, and then Andrea.
Sure. Yes, I think this policy needs to be looked at and reworded, but I agree with Andrea that when you're naming a school, a new school, then we should have this large committee. Otherwise, it was always left up to the Board of Education if you were going to do a gym or a library. So that's that's past practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Jay.
Yeah, and I just, that's how I read it as well, is how Dr. Ackerman and Rita read it. And that's what we did with Groton Middle School. We created the huge committee. We also did that for the naming of the 2 elementary schools. But last year, when we named the library at GMS for Dr. Grenier, we did not create a committee because we don't do it for subsets of buildings. And many emails have gone back and forth on this, clarifying this issue. I'm a little surprised that it's back on the agenda tonight because I really feel that the flurry of emails back and forth clearly made this issue clear. But thank you.
I'm going to recognize Matthew and then Andrea. Andrea, you've already spoken to this, and so I'm going to throw it to Matthew.
Yep.
Matthew?
My apologies. When we talk about early pioneers of the community, is it understood that Indigenous history might be considered as a naming factor?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it.
I'm going to now recognize Kat because Kat has also not spoken to this issue.
Hi, again, I'm not putting on video. The regulation was first adopted in 2000 and it was revised in 2017. And it says school facilities. What exactly are the school facilities that are being referred to?
So Kat, there was a request, I believe, from Beverly, actually from many of us, to find a way to recognize specifically Dr. Mitchell, but that we have two new school buildings and with libraries and athletic spaces. I think they're called gyms. So I think that that's what that was in specific reference to.
Okay, then to avoid problems in the future, perhaps that needs to be looked at as well.
I think
or a
it's been
separate
noted.
School facilities policy or subset policy.
Yeah,
Okay.
my guess is that this needs to go back to the policy committee for updating. I agree. Andrea?
And that's all I wanted to reiterate, and that is that I definitely will email Erica tomorrow and have her put it on the agenda. And Susan, if you'll just.
Yep, I just noted that on my paper.
Okay, great, thank you.
So I am taking from this conversation. Oh, Jay, do you still have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that if we read the actual regulation, the general procedure for selecting a name for a school shall be as follows. That procedure of creating the committee is not for the naming of facilities, but just for the naming of the school itself. So that was clearly indicated in the regulation and apparently follows what Dr. Ackerman and Rita point out as being past practice. So that's embodied in the regulation that we hold the prerogative to name subsets. There is another policy that says, what we will consider to be appropriate names for those other facilities, but the creating of this large committee was designed to just be for the main school itself. So unless we want to go back and rewrite all this policy, I think the way we currently operate is the committee suggests the school and we name the subsets or facilities within.
Thank you, Jay. Kat?
I would just like the policy and the regulation to match.
Yeah, I think it's off to the policy committee. Andrea?
Can't
Oh,
hear
you're
you.
on mute.
Yeah, I just want to reassure Mr. Whitelock that that's exactly what the policy committee will do.
Thank you. Bev?
And
So where do we go from here?
Thank you, Bev. That was going to be my next question. So my sense is that I think a small ad hoc from the board gets together to name either name one specific area or kind of take a look at maybe the spaces. Maybe that should be the first step of an ad hoc is to identify from the new schools, are there spaces that need to be named? And then also, are there people that the board would like to recognize to place as a name of a spot? Does that sound like that makes sense, Bev?
Yep, that makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you. Jay and Kat, do you have more comments?
yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to go on record that quite a while ago, at least a year ago, Dr. Ackerman did raise the issue about wanting to name a facility after Dr. Mitchell. But at the time, the elementary schools were still under construction. But she did raise that issue, quite a while ago. And of course, it's up to the board to decide, whether we're going to act on that or not.
Jay, can you repeat that for me again? What you just said? I didn't catch it.
Yeah, Dr. Ackerman first brought this up quite a while ago, at least a year or two ago, that she thought it would be nice, for us to recognize Dr. Mitchell's contribution
Right.
to the district.
Mhm.
But at the time, it wasn't taken up because the buildings were not complete. So I just wanted that to be part of the record that, obviously it's up to the board as a whole to decide, what we're going to do. But, she did go on record quite a while ago about that.
And I remember that, and I'm all in favor of that.
I absolutely. How about, so the scope of the ad hoc is to look at the facility, the rooms in the new facilities that have naming possibilities, and then also identifying people that may be matched up to those names. That feels like that's the scope of that, and then the board, that ad hoc, can get together to clarify that even further. What I'm going to ask is that I do know from the previous conversation that Bev was interested when it was going to be a larger community. So Bev, I'm making the assumption that you still want to be on it. But if you guys could just throw me an email to state your wish to be on it, I will then gather that. And my promise, Jay, that the naming committee agenda item will be on for every single committee of the whole going forward. No, it will not be on again. It will just be the report of the ad hoc. I'm moving us on to Jay. Do you have another question?
No, I'm sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
That's all right. Suggested future topics. One that has come out has been the course study. Also next week, we are going to be getting a rundown from the conversation about the band credit. My guess is that we also need some more information about honors program. And I don't know if we put that on for next week, or whether we add that to the larger conversation. I'm going to go. Thank you. I've got Kat, Andrea, and Liz. Kat.
Could we, I don't know how, if this would be a referral, or if Susan can just send us this, or Ken can just send us information. From what I understand, there's 1.7 million in the DoD fund, according to the finance director. What I would like is an accounting of what that has been used for, what it is earmarked to be used for, and I guess that's it. Thank you.
So, Kat, I think you're going to need to send an email to me because you broke up through most of that, and it was very difficult to understand.
I will do so. Thank you.
And I just need clarification on BOD.
DOD, Department of
Oh.
Defense.
Is that what you were saying?
DOB, Department of Defense.
Okay.
I'm
Is
going
that
to
the impact aid money she's talking about? Is that the impact aid money?
No, I think that's
Okay.
separate. I think that's separate. I'm going to recognize Andrea, Liz, and Matthew.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that under the suggested topics is that idea of actions beyond authority. That needs to be on there.
I need to have clarification about what you mean by actions over authority. And I don't know if you want to have that clarification right now, or whether you would send me an email stating what I want to have that conversation. I just don't know what that means. And I just need further,
Yeah.
further help.
I'm just talking about individuals other than the board making decisions that belong only in the board's arena. Does that make it any clearer? I mean,
Yes,
I can
and I
say it.
guess, I guess I don't know how the board would have have a discussion about that. I'll put it down as an agenda item, like it's not me to do that, but if you could have some more thought to that and send me an email, I would really appreciate that. Or send it to everyone so that we could.
Well, Susan is going to talk to one individual, but I'm worried about, defining what the areas of responsibility are. But I'll put it in an email.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want to make sure I get it right.
Oh, no, I didn't take it like that.
Liz?
Yeah, we're having our curriculum committee meeting next Monday at
Okay.
4:00. So I would like us to have the opportunity to discuss about this honors program and get some clarification and then bring it back to the board. And I don't think I can do that. We can do that within an hour from 4 to 5 next week. So I would, this might be a future topic, but just not next week.
Thank you. So what I hear you saying is not to have me put on the committee of the whole, the topic about honors, honors English and
The program of studies even, because we need to do some investigation ourselves. And then, and I've talked to, I've said that we need to give us a chance.
Okay.
So just give us a little time,
Okay,
couple of weeks.
got it. Got
Thank
it.
you.
Matthew,
Well, I need your guidance. Off-site tutoring. When do we do that?
well, so as you can see, tonight's meeting was full, as I had mentioned to you. I
No
sent you an
problem.
email. And so I have that as an agenda item, but I just wanted to see if there was anything new that got generated.
Would that be for the board meeting or for the next Cal meeting? What was your pleasure?
We have a committee of the whole meeting next week.
Okay. Thank you.
I think it'll probably be a more comprehensive discussion on the tutoring that's going to be taking place over the summer
Yep.
in multiple locations.
Okay. Oh, cool. Matthew, do you have anything else?
No, I'm sorry. I take my hand down.
Beverly?
Susan, can you discuss with us at a future meeting when students notify parents that their children are falling behind? For example, is it when the student doesn't hand in 3 homeworks that the teacher notifies the parents? Because I'm hearing from several parents that they are not being notified that their students aren't doing as well as they. So say it was an A student and all of a sudden the student starts falling behind, that the parent is not being notified that the student is falling behind. So is there a policy or when does a teacher do that? Maybe you could find that out and get back to me or the whole board.
Yep, I can do that.
So Beverly, would you like that to be like in a board note or would you like it to be a committee of the whole?
Probably a committee of the whole, so parents can hear this too, because that's where it came from, parents. It
Okay.
didn't come from me.
Okay. Thank you, Bev. Jay and Katrina.
So I wonder if we could get an update on our partnership with Groton Public Library. I know there's a concern about student privacy, but if the student sends the book request and it just uses their ID, maybe we could then correlate the ID number to the student and their location on this side, so we're not sharing this, what apparently is highly sensitive information that's taken so many years to figure out. I don't understand why it is that this has been pending for like 3 or 4 years. And our students have missed this opportunity to use the resources of the Groton Public Library. And now it's being attributed to student privacy. It just boggles my mind.
Thank you, Jay. Kat?
That was one of the things I asked for, was an update on that. So thank
Okay.
you, Jay, for bringing that up. The other, since the federal funding for the whole district getting free lunch is ending, could we have a conversation around that with Ernie present to discuss if there's any possibility going forward of continuing the free lunch program? And also what are the restrictions or stumbling blocks with that?
Thank you, Kat. Rita?
Yes, I just wanted an update. I was doing a sending in a contribution for the scholarships for the Groton Education Association. And I noticed on the letterhead that there was no one on the Board of Education who was a member. Is that really the case
No, that's not. Liz Porter is.
on it? Okay, they just neglected to put her name.
Yeah, I actually spaced the last meeting, unfortunately, but I was kind of under the weather. But I'm supposed to be there. They
Yeah.
just haven't added I've only been to one meeting. I was only invited to 2 meetings. So
Okay,
I'm their newbie, and I guess they just haven't figured it out. But there is a transition of the presidency that's going on right now. So,
Mhm. Well,
okay.
it's a nice reminder that at our next board meeting that you could remind people if they want to send in a donation would be great.
Thank you,
I
Rita.
will.
Thank you.
Jay? Rita?
No.
All right. If there's no other items for future agenda topics, I will take a motion for adjournment.
Before I do that, I just want to tell you what boggles my mind. And that is why a kid can't just go to the library and get a card. And this is crazy. That's the way it should be. Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Liz. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned. All those opposed? Abstain?
There you
Motion
go.
carried. Everyone, thank you very much for your hard work.
Stay on Andrea for a second.
Good
will
night,
you?
everyone.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Here, Liz. Yeah, bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, everyone.